Welcome back to the garden. It is almost the Fall Equinox. We're at September 18th and wanted to show you what the garden looks like at this time. A lot of the summer fruits have had a light frost, and so quite a bit of damage to things like tomatoes and squash. But a lot of plants survived too, like kale and broccoli and Brussels sprouts. So we'll show you what it looks like this late in the season. So a lot of those fruits came out, things like summer squash and green beans. And so we've planted new seeds of arugula and lettuce, and we've got some baby carrots as well. Those plants can handle a little bit colder temperatures, and so nice to have the beds full of something at all times, but still a little too cold for those summer fruits. The sunflowers survived the frost nicely, and bumblebees are getting their last taste. And these beautiful purple beans, called a hyacinth bean, also survived the cold. A little bit of damage on the leaves, but pollinators have loved these flowers, especially hummingbirds, and they really want to climb. And over here, we have the old potato bed that was cleared about 3 to 4 weeks ago, and we've since planted spinach and some baby chard. And those are just starting to come up. We'll maybe experiment with putting a cold frame around this to insulate it a little bit more from the lower temps of October, November. But we'll try to grow it out as long as we can. You can see that the brassica plants, or these Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and kale, which are all part of the same family of plants, they really don't mind the cold. And they're all doing really well. The broccoli has gone to flower, so what once was the broccoli floret stretches out and becomes these beautiful yellow blooms, which then produce seeds almost in like a bean pod looking fruit. And down the hill, we've got some other garden beds. Our blueberry bed is still very full. A lot of cold hardy plants in there, like parsley and dill and some wildflowers. The blueberry plants are starting to show the cold temperatures in their purple leaves. The calendula flowers are starting to produce their seeds. A lot of them already dropping. And in the beds down here, you can see that part of it has been cleared because the cucumbers had to come out after they got frozen. So that's this half of the bed. I think we will leave it unplanted for now, and we have some garlic cloves that we might plug in there next to these herbs, all of which are perennial, so they'll come back next year. Things like oregano and sage, and then some like dill that will seed themselves. And in this bed down here we had corn that we were growing out for seeds, and that's been cleared. Corn can't handle those low temperatures, and so this one probably also won't be seeded this fall, but will remain ready to go. It will still receive compost this season. And the berm up here, which did have beautiful squash vines flowing down, You can now see the remnants of one part of one plant. And there were 4 plants here. We got about 25 pumpkins off of these plants, which is great. The cabbage is also doing really well. Starting to form their curds, or that dense part within. These will be small, personal-sized cabbages. And the berm down the hill has some more cold hardy plants on it. Kale and spinach, some turnips, broccoli and cabbage. And these were all seeded in August, so a little bit later than the rest of the garden. But they all handled the frost quite well. So we're experimenting with these hoops, which will support a cloth that we will cover the plants with when the really low temps come, so that we can stretch it even further. If we continue to walk down the hill, we'll get a really good view of the garden from the lakeside. Thanks for joining on this little fall walk through the garden.